Yo, what's up? This is my reaction and breakdown to UFC Fight Night Kape vs Horiguchi. I think UFC Vegas 119. I mean, that was a banger Apex card. Lots of big upsets, knockouts, submissions. Just like, honestly, an awesome card. Like, if you didn't watch it, you missed out. But let's just get right into it, going over all of the fights. So, first fight of the night was Shane Collins versus Atari Tanzvelovi. And what I predicted was Shane Collins would do this forward pressure and just strike and mix in the wrestling. Well, he didn't mix in the wrestling that much. He was on the front foot, had nice boxing. That's really won him the fight. I mean, Otari did. He stayed on the back foot like I predicted, kind of like a kickboxer, just was always moving back, and just Collins looked better with the optics going forward. Linked some nice hooks to the body and straights upstairs. And Otari mixed in the wrestling a little bit, but whenever he got Collins down, he wouldn't really do any damage, and Collins would get up in like less than a minute. So that was a good performance by Collins, and both of them really aren't that bad. And I think both could be mid-tier featherweight guys, and maybe Collins seems like a guy who could be ranked and keep moving up. Like, he definitely has potential to be like maybe a top 15, maybe top 10 guy. I don't maybe see him as like a title contention guy, but he can definitely be a guy in the rankings for sure. And then next fight, we had Carol Rosa versus Luna Santos. I mean, this fight, you really didn't miss much if you didn't watch it. It was literally just Luna Santos holding Rosa against the fence the whole time. I mean, how much control time did she have? It doesn't say here, but I think she had like 12 minutes of control time. Really boring fight, but I guess Santos is in the top 8 of women's bantamweight now and is like a big contender there now. So, but I mean, this was really the one dud on the card. The rest of the card was great besides this one fight. And then next, we had Leon Shabazian versus Levon Chokoli. And Chokoli just destroyed Shabazian in one round. See, 23 seconds. He landed a nasty leg kick, which like hindered Shabazian. And then after that, he landed a nice left hook to the body, which just made Shabazian crumble. And he was like holding his rib for like 30 seconds after like this fight was stopped. But I mean, Shabazian just isn't UFC level, and if they give him another fight, he's gonna get destroyed again. But Chokoli looked nice on the feet, so I mean, this fight really didn't prove anything. But and I know he didn't really fight anyone on the regional scene either. But I mean, it shows he's dangerous, I guess. But I'd like to see what he does next at welterweight. Maybe a better, somewhat of a higher level opponent next. Then after that was Gaston Bolanos versus Michael Aswell. It's a plus 320 underdog. Had a huge upset versus Michael Aswell Jr., which I predicted Michael Aswell should not be a minus 400 favorite in like just a striking battle. And Bolaños is a good striker as well. And it just showed, I mean, Aswell could land more, but he really doesn't have like any power at all. Just whenever Bolaños would throw, it would just have a lot more power. I did give this fight to Aswell in the card 29-28 on my scorecard on Twitter. You can check me out on Twitter, MSPO tweets. But yeah, I was covering all the fights all night on there. But Bolaños just seemed to have the more significant strikes. Had a good round in round 2. And I think the judges gave him round 1 because he had a good, like, towards the end of round 1, he was landing a lot of strikes. And just his strikes seem more powerful than Aswell. And Aswell just maybe has one more fight in the UFC after this, but he might get cut after this one. But I mean, he's 25, he's still young, he can get better, but maybe he should go down to bantamweight or something because he really didn't have any power at all. But I mean, his boxing was still nice. But yeah, because Bolaños is really a low-level featherweight, and if you're losing to him, then it's kind of rough. And then after that, we had Mitch Raposo versus Nascimento. Raposo's the dog, I picked him, and he was just able to beat Nascimento on the feet first 2 rounds. Nascimento couldn't really take him down or hold him down at all, and just Raposo was just outlanding him, moving around a lot in the back, moving around laterally a lot in the feet, just circling around the cage, outlanding Nascimento. But then in round 3, Nascimento lands a nasty right straight down the pipe, which drops Raposo. And then Nascimento was on top of Raposo for like 3 minutes, but Raposo was able to survive. and just stay alive on the ground and hold his lead and get the victory. And then after the fight, he called out like Brandon Moreno and Edgar Chavez, and I don't think he get the Moreno fight, but maybe he can get the Chavez fight. I don't know. I think Chavez should get a ranked opponent, but definitely Raposo. I mean, he's on a 2-fight win streak now, and he's looking like I think he's one of the most underrated guys at flyweight right now. He's great wrestling, defense, and good boxing, I mean, that can get you far in today's age of the UFC. Then after that, it was Bia Mesquita versus Melissa Mullins. Mesquita was like a -600 favorite, which I didn't think was right, but Mullins actually rocked Mesquita in the first round pretty bad. And then she got on top, which wasn't a good idea versus Mesquita. And just she was on top with Mesquita rocked, but Mesquita was able to find an armbar, which was kind of nasty. Just like that's her thing. She's one of the best women's grapplers ever. So I think I feel like if you're a women's bantamweight, just keep it on the feet and don't let her take you to the ground at all because she's nasty. But her striking looked pretty bad. And I think once she called out Lean Perez. And I think that's a bad matchup for her just because I think Perez can piece her up on the feet and somewhat like defend the takedowns. But, I mean, if Mesquita gets to the ground, like, it's nasty and it's very dangerous. But yeah, that was another finish. Showed how great this card was. And then after this, Andre Lima -600 favorite for +450, Kevin Borjas. And Lima came out, he throws a lot of like singular, maybe 1-2 strikes. And he was able to win the first round of pressure kind of, but actually he didn't win the first round because at like the very last 10 seconds of the first round, Borjas pieces him with a right straight and wobbles Lima pretty bad. And then going into the second round, Borjas is a little more confident. He's throwing a lot more, kind of piecing up Lima. And then Lima nut shots him, and Borjas is down for like 5 minutes from a nut shot. And like, I thought the fight was going to get called because he was on the ground for so long. But he gets up with like 4 minutes and like 50 seconds left, gets up. They get back to the fight in the second round. And then Borjas just like rejuvenates and just starts piecing up Lima for the rest of the round, which is kind of crazy. And then Borjas is up 2-0 now, and then the third round was pretty close. Could have gone either way. But yeah, Borjas got the decision. It's kind of crazy as a plus, like, what was it? Plus, 450 underdog. It's pretty wild. And I mean, Lima, he was pretty overrated. He was undefeated. He got bit that one time, but like, there was no reason to be making him a -600 favorite over Borjas. But that was one of the big upsets on this card, and there's another one coming later. It was just a wild and crazy card. You missed out if you didn't watch it. And then after that, it was Vinicius Oliveira versus Andre Fili. I had bet Vinicius Oliveira finish. And in the first round, Oliveira's doing well. And then Fili lands a nasty body shot to the ribs of Oliveira, and Oliveira kind of grabs his stomach. And then he's like hurt. And then also Fili checks one of Oliveira's kicks, and Oliveira's like limping. And then Fili's kind of winning he wins round 1 off of that. And you're thinking, oh my God, Oliveira, like, he's hurt pretty bad with his legs compromised and his ribs were like killed by like a nasty body shot. But then Oliveira comes out in round 2 and just like is rejuvenated, didn't gas because it's at featherweight now. Like before at bantamweight, Oliveira would gas a lot in his fights. But this one, he looked fresh in round 2 and just was wild and kept the pressure on Fili and started to beat him up. Fili would kind of just, I don't know what he was doing, but he'd like lean on the cage and he was staying too much on the fence, and Vinicius would just piece him up for like the most telegraphed shots ever. He'd like wind them up sometimes, which was wild, but he landed nasty leg kicks the whole fight. Just landing nasty shots up on the cage. And then like at the end of round 2, he hurt Fili really bad. Finished him up on the cage with some nasty elbows, which were kind of back of the head, but it was Herb Dean wrestling. And of course, he didn't call those, but it was still nasty and just a nasty comeback finish from Vinicius Oliveira. And I like him at featherweight. I mean, his style's weird, and you think he's going to get pieced up more, but it seems to work a lot. But I don't know. Hopefully, he faces like a ranked contender now. And then after that, we had Murtatalizali Magomedov versus Melzik Bagdasaryan. And Magomedov he was able to get Bagdasaryan to the ground early. Not that early, but he got him against the cage and was able to trip him down. And then Magomedov was just nasty on the ground. He got a twister. Swallowed at first, I think he had a Kimura or something, but then Bagdasaryan was able to escape it, and then Bagdasaryan got on top. But then, Magomedov, got around his body and, twisted him. And then Bagdasaryan, instantly, not instant, but, after, a second, just tapped. It was, wild. At first, you couldn't tell what happens, but then from the other angle, you can see, his back was, twisted, in between, by, Magomedov's, legs and, arms. Just a nasty finish. And Magomedov said, he was training in camp and it's, his new submission. It was, it was a twister, but it was, different from, the other twisters, TKZ's twister. But just a nasty finish. And I think Magomedov's, definitely a contender in the featherweight division. And then after that, we had C-Rod versus Emil. And C-Rod looked great this fight. He's piecing up Emil the whole first round. And then he landed some nasty shots. I don't remember exactly what it was, but Emil was rocked. I think he dropped Emil. And then when Emil was on the ground, it looked like he was going to out, but they didn't stop the fight, and he kind of just grabbed Rodriguez's leg. But then Rodriguez locked in a guillotine, flipped it, and then Emil was out. It was a nasty finish, rock and sock him. Just a rocked and then a guillotine submission in the first round. Just a great performance by C-Rod. Seems like he's actually starting to beat vets now and not prospects. And honestly, I think if he can keep performing like this, he can definitely be a ranked guy in featherweight. And a lot of new contenders in featherweight after this Apex card. And then we finally get to the co-main event. Ion Cutelaba versus Navajo Sterling. Cutelaba, he actually had a pretty good first round. Almost got the first round gilly. And then he had him on the ground, but Sterling was able to escape submission attempt, but Cutelaba still won the first round on control. Sterling was doing decent on the feet in the first round, but that first round was mainly just Cutelaba almost getting that submission and getting a decent amount of control in the first round. But then when we got to the second round, I think Cutelaba might have got one takedown, but Navajo's piecing him up for most of the round. And then Cutelaba just he kind of fell, and he was just sitting on the fence, and Sterling was just hitting him, and Cutelaba just kept sitting there and was and just quit. And just Sterling landed 20 shots, and Cutelaba was just sitting down up on the fence, which was just wild. But I think he gasped, but it didn't even seem like he was gassing that much. But he just quit, which is kind of wild. But I mean, you never know what to expect from a Cutelaba fight. And I mean, now with the future for Navajo, I think you got to give him a ranked guy now, but there's something about Navajo where, he's good, but, you just know he's going to get fraud checked. It's he's just one of those guys, once he gets to, a certain level, he's going to get fraud checked, but maybe he just doesn't. He just keeps winning and proving everyone wrong, but I don't know. Maybe I'd give him, Alonzo Menifield next. I think he called Alonzo Menifield out. That'd be a decent fight. Or maybe you could do just someone Zhang Minyang. I think he also called out Zhang Minyang, but someone just in the top, 12 to 15 range at light heavyweight. I know a lot of guys are leaving the division now to go to heavyweight, but it's definitely time for Navajo to get a ranked opponent now. And then finally, we get to the main event. Manel Kape versus Kyoji Horiguchi. This was the last leg of my parlay. I had Vinicius Oliveira by finish and Magomedov by finish. Those both hit, and I was like, all I need is the Gooch now to get me the win. And first round, they were both kind of feeling each other out, but I thought Horiguchi won on strikes. I'm going to look at the round one stats. Yeah, I mean, he landed one more strike, and he also had that takedown at the very end of the round. 3 more significant strikes. I mean, not a lot was happening, but it seemed Gooch just got the little bit better of Manel Kape in this round. And then we get to round 2. Gooch did pretty well in the feet this round as well, and then got that takedown and held Kape on the ground for like, I think 3 minutes of the round. So it was another pretty dominant round for Horiguchi. I was really feeling pretty good about my parlay because I bet $10 to win $120 because I had a boosted underdog pick, and I was like, oh my god, let's go. The Gooch is doing it, and then we get to round 3. It was pretty close in the feet for the first 2 minutes, I guess. And it still seemed like you could feel like, oh, Gooch can do this, but the whole time during that fight, there's that fear of Manel Kape's power. Like anytime he'd land, there'd just be like kind of like a big reaction, or just like a lot of he's so fast. He's just so powerful and just a very dangerous guy. He was able to he caught Horiguchi with a right hook when Gooch missed a right hand and was trying to like evade. It's nasty right on the chin. Then Gooch kind of wobbles, tries to survive and stand up, but Kape realizes he's hurt and he has amazing finishing instincts and just attacks him and gets Gooch with another shot. Gooch is on the ground. He lands like an uppercut while Gooch is like kind of in like doggy, and then just boom, Gooch falls and is flat out, knocked out, which is an amazing win for Kape. He's fighting next for the title. If it's after Pantoja and Van fight, he'll sit out and wait for the winner. Or maybe if Pantoja's still not ready, just do Kape versus Van. But I'd want to see Kape versus Van in Japan. Or if it's Pantoja versus Kape in Japan, I think that'd be a very big fight. Just be awesome to see. And then for my awards for this event, fight of the night, it would probably have to be, I think fight of the night was Vinicius Oliveira versus Andre Philly. That was a banger, back and forth. Vinicius with the comeback KO. And then for my performance bonuses, I'd probably give one to Levon Chicoli, just a nasty first round knockout. Probably give one to Vinicius. And then I guess you got to give one to Kape. But then also, actually, I wouldn't give one to Chicoli. I'd actually give Chicoli's to Christian Rodriguez, because that was an amazing performance. But yeah, that's my review of UFC Fight Night Kape vs. Horiguchi. Banger Apex card. If y'all could follow my Insta, Twitter, subscribe, and like the video and leave a comment, that'd be much appreciated, because I'm trying to grow this channel, just starting out, and that'd go a long way.